So today you will understand what is secure API proxy, which we have in our organization. So what is secure API proxy in general? So it is a enterprise controlled AI panel. So here we will it will securely connect users, enterprise knowledge bases, as well as AI models through a single control panel. So it provides a secure access to AI services. For AI services, we are using Light LLM. It is from API proxy. All requests will go to Light LLM. Then it will go to the respective LLM providers. So we have unified authentication and authorization in the API proxy and real-time AI conversation. We have streaming and WebSocket support also, and enterprise knowledge integration. Various tools like web search and tool executions are also present. And we also do the usage tracking and billing in the API proxy. So let's see what organization usually face and what the API proxy is solving those issues. So there are multiple providers with the different API keys and inconsistent authentication methods. And it is difficult to connecting AI to enterprise knowledge bases, lack of visibility of how much is used for the AI and what is the cost for each of the transactions, and security and compliance concerns. All of these are resolved, means solution is given in the API proxy. This is the past API based Python application. It is a Docker composed and it is deployed in the container in the stack. So it is gives secure single layer between users and AI systems. It provides one secure entry point, consistent user authentication, and usage monitoring and intelligent AI orchestration. These are its core capabilities. So let's see the high level overview of the API proxy. The client layer, client will send requests to API proxy. In API proxy, the first thing that will happen is authentication. There are multiple authentication methods that we will discuss afterwards. But for now, just understand the first layer is authentication. Authentication, after that, authorization for that user will happen. Then request intelligence, what based on your user request query, the request will be passed to the routed to the multiple services like knowledge integration, smart orchestration, and tool. This is the LangGraph based agent. And we have real-time streaming using the WebSocket for voice, also we support. And yeah, and we have the AI model provider. This is it comes within the Light LLM. Light LLM route all these requests to different LLM providers. And within the API proxy, we will calculate the how much billing is happened for each of the transaction. So let's see the Git repositories which we use for our secure API proxy. This is the Git repository, and within this we are also using a user management API for all user permissions and model configuration. That's why I mentioned here. So as I already mentioned, it is deployed in the container stack with the Docker composed. This is a past API Python repo. We have 4 deployment environments: playtest, dev, production, that is we call it as a main. And for customer deployment, we have team prod. Before we push anything to playtest, we will work on the feature branch. Feature to playtest, we will do the PR. We will, once we review and test, this playtest is for testing purpose. Once developer confirm here, they will raise a PR from playtest to dev. The senior developer is going to review the PR. Then you are going to test in dev, respectively for each of the environment. Let's go to the storage layer. For secure API proxy, we are mainly using the user management cloud database. Here it is a Cloudflare D1 SQL database. We are using user management API to store all these details and fetch the data back. we have model config for to list all the models which we have, which are provided in the light LLM. Those models are specified in the model config table, and for billing purpose we use app user billing table. So let's see the how secure access and governance happens in a secure API proxy. The before any request comes move forward to light LLM, the first user identification will happen. How it will happen? With request we are passing the um, auth cookie, light cookie. There are multiple authentication mechanism secure API proxy supports. For now, I will explain with auth cookie. With API means API proxy API, user will pass the auth cookie. Based on that, we will decrypt the auth cookie and we will identify the user email ID. Accordingly, we will get to know which all access a user has. Then if the user lateral key is fetched from the email ID. If user is new to the system, then LLM key for that new user is created and stored, and that light LLM key is forwarded with the request to light LLM. So it is a very secure, centralized governance for AI. So let's see what are the real-time AI experience will happen here. We support streaming for HTTP and WebSocket. We have a parameter called streaming is equal to true or false. Based on a user, we are given a user the freedom to choose whether they need streaming or not. If they select a streaming is equal to true, then response will come in a streaming format, token by token. If they give a streaming as a false, then final response will be given in a JSON format. This is for faster interaction and improved user experience. As I already mentioned, we support both HTTP and WebSocket-based real-time streaming. Why we use WebSocket? Because we want AI, the voice response, the real-time response from AI needs to be go through the WebSocket. That's why we are using WebSocket here. So let's go to the smart AI orchestration layer. So this is the land graph based agent orchestration that we call as a smart AI orchestration. Here we have three kinds of, these are the four kinds of combinations which we implemented, but we have three tools, RAG tool, a web tool, and image generation tool. And we also support the tool execution in the smart proxy service. So these all tools give the responses. These all response context will be combined and given to the AI as a context to generate the final answer. So let's see the smart AI orchestration, how the processing happens. User request, whenever user send a request, the first what will happen? Free RAG search. RAG search will happen. It will, if it matches the specific keywords, it will give the direct answer. If it gives the, if it does not have any matches, then there are multiple files which are matching, then it will give the documents. The document only we send. That document we will attach in the context building. Then also if the particular request require any web search, real-time data, then we will do web search. Then context building will happen. These all context will be given to AI, means LLM model, to generate the final response based on the prompt, whatever the user has given. As already mentioned, we have three tools. Web search for, here we are using Tavily search for web search, and knowledge search. Basically, we are using hybrid semantic search. Image generation, for this also we have a specific tool which is created in API proxy. And context management. So what is context management? Means user has a multiple chart histories in a particular session. All those chart history will be given, and we are also storing all the chart histories in knowledge base. Those all will be given in a context to generate the better response qualities. So this will happen in a smart proxy layer. For usage and cost management, we use user management app user billing table for each of the transaction. For, let's say, if you ask something, first it will do the AI LLM call. Then for that we have transaction type as a AI generation cost. If you do the, if your request needs RAG search, then that time we have knowledge retrieval cost. If you ask any image related query, then that time your transaction means billing will happen in the image generation cost. There are multiple costs within the API proxy. Accordingly, it will insert the data and which all models are being used, and the cost is being calculated in the API proxy based on the token consumption. So let's see the flow, how it works. So client application with client request, they need to provide the app code header. If they did not provide any app code in the payload, means request header, the request will be rejected here itself. So API proxy will send back the 401 error. It is not authorized. Only the request which are having the app code. Why we use app code? Means to track which all application in the organization are using the AI. So if the request is not associated with any of the application, then automatically the request will be rejected there itself. So once the app code is verified, based on the app code, we'll be fetching the application ID in the backend. So we will know the which application is this. So after that, there are multiple authentication layers. X API key. This is the system key. Each of the environment and each of the application will be having its own X API key, and this API key will be also linked to the specific application of user or organization. Then we have X Studio key. This is the base 64 encoded auth cookie, as well as it also support the raw auth cookie as well. So we have auth cookie. These you already know. This is the raw auth cookie. Then light cookie. So light cookie is for, it is not linked to any specific user, but it is linked to a specific organization, anonymous. But we are given this because we want to, these all comes when user is authenticated. But this will happen when we are given some application to public people without any authentication. They want to use some of our features. That time we will be using light cookie. So how it will be done? Decrypt API URL will decrypt the user's authentication auth cookie. Then we will fetch using CM API URL. This is a config URL we have. In config database, there are multiple user data, user LLM keys for light LLM will be fetched for each of the key. Here we will fetch the email ID of the user using the auth cookie. Then email ID, for this email ID, which light LLM key is there in the database of the config manager, we will be fetching that key. Then if the user is new, let's say you guys are new, for you guys, it will automatically create the new LLM key in the database. Then it will use that in a next request, means forward that request to the next layer. Then we have two kinds of API. One is simple API proxy. These are all simple methods. One is Aura. Aura is for giving some intelligence. Here with I will explain each of the endpoints what they do. And just imagine API proxy, just API proxy with the chart completion and models. These are simple API endpoints. With Aura, these are having some special capabilities they will perform. So request processing pipeline, what will happen? The app code will be already passed here. We will be fetching the X app ID to identify which application is belong to. Because in user management database, we have application table. In application table, each of the application will be registered with their ID. And so during billing, it will only going to insert the app ID. But we want to know, right, which of the application these IDs belong to. So the app ID in the app user billing is a foreign key, which is referencing to the application table. Then we will having the safety classification. We have added the guardrails in our API proxy layer itself. we are already supporting that guardrails in light LLM also, but for unsafe, to block all the unsafe requests, user should not ask any of the unsafe requests. That's why we have added this safety classification. If they ask anything which is unrelevant, illegal, then request will be blocked here itself, and AI API proxy is giving the user friendly response as this is not possible. And for all the unsafe requests, we'll be skipping the citation. Means citations are the links which are given in the sources. You have already seen in the secure chart, we have some links in the sources. Those are also will be blocked if the request is unusual. Then there are a query parameter routing. So in Aura itself, API proxy Aura will be at the end will be passing query parameter with k is equal to 1 and k is equal to 2. For k is equal to 1, we do the knowledge base search. So for knowledge base search, as I already told, we are using hybrid semantic search with the specific knowledge base ID. So in k is equal to 2, we are performing smart proxy search, where we are using the based on request, multiple tools are invoked, and at the end, context building will happen, and the response context will be given to LLM to generate the final response. So we have a decision layer. This is the same, but here intent classification, complexity analysis, and routing decisions will happen in this layer. This is all about the main flow, how it happens. So let's see authentication. XAPI key already mentioned. These are decrypt and resolve the target API URL, credentials, everything is mentioned. Okay, let's go to the core APIs which we have. We have API proxy models API. We have API proxy event chart completion. These are the simple API. But Aura proxy endpoint with Aura event chart completion, this API endpoint automatically inject the tag research tool into this. Means it should not require any client-side configuration for making any web search. Whichever application needs this facility to automatically invoke the web search or tag research, they just need to use this API endpoints in their application. I will show each and every endpoints in Postman, how it is executed. Let's see each of the endpoints. Next, we have knowledge base code. As I told in query parameter, at the end we'll be passing k is equal to 1. So whenever k is equal to 1, Aura event chart completion, k is equal to 1, this is belong to the knowledge base search. How it works? Extract the user's query, which is at the end of each payload. Then that is the recent request, right? Then it will perform hybrid semantic search. We are using R2 Explorer API in API proxy to perform the hybrid semantic search. If results are found, sometimes we will using keyword search, we will directly get the final answer. Then LLM call will be bypassed. The request will be directly given to user. But if request contain multiple context documents, that time we need to summarize them, and then we will be injecting them into the LLM request. Sometimes each of the knowledge base in our knowledge hub will be also having the system prompt. So with some of the request, with this request, you can pass in a payload as a knowledge base ID to support the knowledge system prompt. If you did not pass the knowledge base ID with this request, the request will be, the response will be given based on the whatever questions you have asked, but there are no system prompt attached to this. Whenever you are going to pass the knowledge base ID, then only the specific knowledge base system prompt will be attached to this and sent to the LLM. Using this knowledge base ID, will be fetching the system prompt for that specific knowledge base. Then forward the request to upstream LLM. Then we will see the smart proxy mode. The very simple, instead of 1, we'll be adding k is equal to 2. Here we are using LangGraph agents with following capabilities. So in payload of this request API endpoint, we are passing the prompt title. So in secure chart, architecture and demo also I have already showed you. We are passing the system prompt ID, prompt title. So using prompt title, whenever our API proxy application is in container stack, whenever it starts running, it will cache all our prompts in the backend. So whenever requests are coming with a prompt title, it is going to map that title to the each of the cache prompts. Then the prompt content will be fetched, and that actual prompt content will be attached to the AI request. So in smart proxy layer, we are doing the pre-rack search. Before sending the request to any of the tools, pre-rack search will be happen for each of the requests. Then the relevant documents will be attached as a context. If it requires real time, we will use tabbing. If it require the after pre-rack search also, if we again require any context about that specific request, if it is there in the knowledge, it is going to call the RAG search tool in our proxy layer. If request contains, here we are doing the keyword mapping for the image generation. Whenever a user is asking diagrams, images, then only the image generation tool will be called. There are multiple keywords which are mapped according to what the user is going to ask for the image generation. Based on that, this generate image tool will be invoked and the response will be given. So after that, once the response comes back from that LLM with the system prompt, then we'll be attaching the citation. Citations are given by the Tavily search. Web search will give all the citations for that request. All the citations will be automatically appended to the response which is received from the LLM. So let's see each of the endpoints in the order. So we have, everyone is able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So we have the first model, first 4 endpoint which I showed you is API proxy models. So in request header will be first, you need to enter your API endpoint. I'm in production. I'm not in latest www.humanizeactive.ai. This is our host name. Then this is the API proxy models. This is one of the endpoint which is going to get all the endpoints which we have in our light LLM. So for this, app code will be Aura chat because I use secure chat. Secure chat has the app code Aura chat. That's why I use this. But if you're using this in the different application, that time the app code will be different. Let's say for Craft Studio, we have Craft_Studio. The based on each of the application will be having different app code and authorization. Currently, I'm using auth cookie. This is the raw auth cookie and content type is application JSON. This is the simple request and there is no body for this because we're getting the information back. So it is going to give us all the list of models which we have in our organization. Okay, let's go to different endpoint. This is a simple API proxy model. Then we will have the API proxy V1 chart completion endpoint. Okay. Here, this is the post because we are sending the request to API proxy, right? Here we need to choose the model. There are multiple models which I mentioned here. There you get a model's name. Then those models name you need to attach here, send in the request of the body. This is the question what I asked, and here I can enable streaming is equal to true or false. Currently, when I ask streaming is false, that time I'm getting the final response here in choices. If I enable streaming as a true, then I will get all the response in chunks, token by token. See, here I'm getting all the response in token wise. In chunks, I will get. This is based on streaming value, whatever you are going to provide. These two completed. Now we will go to Aura endpoint. This is same as this, but here we have in endpoint Aura. This is automatically append the Tabeli search, as I already mentioned. Whenever the Aura event chat completion endpoint is there, that time it will automatically invoke the web search tool. So I'm again passing the same app code authorization and content JSON. Then here I asked what is the latest news for today. Then it is going to give me the response. Here I can also enable streaming as a true, so we can get the content in chunks. During in front end rendering and passing, we will be passing the actual content over here. So let's see the k is equal to 1 endpoint. This is for knowledge search specifically. This is also starts with API proxy or of even chat completion k is equal to 1. The same goes here, but the difference is here we can pass the prompt title. The role should be system, and in content we need to pass the prompt title, and after that we need to append the user request. If we are asking multiple questions, then all the these objects will be appended one after the other. Then model will be passed here, streaming, and k is equal to 1. This knowledge base ID is optional. If you are not passing this, then prompt for this knowledge base, let's say we have in Humanize IQ knowledge hub, we have document analyzer knowledge base. If you want the knowledge, this knowledge retrieval to happen according to the whatever prompt which is present over in the knowledge document analyzer, then only you can pass this. If you don't want this, then you can skip this passing. You can also pass this here. If you want to use another prompt except this knowledge base prompt, you can pass here, else you can pass both of them. Both will work. So it is going to give you the response in this format. So next is smart proxy layer. So the difference here is we just need to pass 2, k is equal to 2. And the same goes here, we can pass this content system prompt. This is not going to be same for each of the requests. We have prompt manager database, and we also have the prompt manager application. I will show you, so you will get some idea. So this is the prompt manager application where all the prompts present in the organizations are present. So from here, all these prompts are getting cached in API proxy. So whenever your user, these are the prompt title, whatever you are able to see here, these are the prompt title. For secure chat also, we have prompt that is system prompt. I will type here. So this is the prompt for secure chat application. This is in this format. Every application will be having this prompt title. Based on prompt title, we are passing the request. In API proxy, this prompt title will be mapped to the actual prompt which is present within this. These all content will be there in API proxy, which will be cached within them. So each of the application will be having this. Then you'll be passing the JSON for the system and user, whatever user is asked for. Then you can control the streaming based on the whatever parameter you are setting over here. So you will get the final response. So guys, if you have any doubts, you can just experiment with these all the endpoints. I will also tell you there is one more option we have. Whenever you want to see the logs for each of these API endpoints, that time only you just need to pass this. And and character. After that, debug is equal to true. Whenever you pass this, then only you'll be able to see the logs for this API proxy repo for your application, because there are multiple logs which are being generated, so it will load our application. So we are already enabled the critical logs for our application. Whenever something fails, then only we will log that. But for other requests which are normal, for them we are disable the logs. If you want to see the logs for your API endpoint, then you just need to pass the and debug is equal to true, so that you can get to see your logs for the API proxy. You can see the logs in the container. So any doubt, guys? Everyone will be having access to container stack, so you can check the logs for secure API proxy. So I will show you how you can access. Link has been changed. I think you all guys are familiar with the container, right? Jason already given the session on this, right? Can anybody confirm? Hello.
Yes, he gave a session on container.
Okay. So I will show you from where you can see the logs. In Stack, just search the secure. It will come up as the secure LLM API proxy. This is our secure API proxy which is deployed in the container. So if you want to see the logs, then you just need to pass the debug is equal to true. If you did not pass any, you did not pass that query parameter and debug is equal to true, then you are not going to see the logs. So yeah, here you will see the logs. Whichever applications are enabled with the debug is equal to true, those applications are currently generating logs here. But the application which are not passing the debug is equal to true, for them we will be not generating any logs. I'm just giving you. So in future, if you want to use this application and if you want to debug something is going wrong in this API endpoints, for that time you can just enable add and debug is equal to true. That time you'll be able to see the logs in the container stack of the secure API proxy. Okay. Anything else, guys? And yeah, in general, I will give you one more slide is left. Okay. So let's revise what we have learned so far. So we have standard HTTP proxy flow that is without aura in the endpoint. How it will work. So first we will extract the OR token from the cookie. Then we will decrypt that token to get the email ID of that specific user. Then we will be fetching the lateral key for that user from the config manager using CM API base URL. Then if the user is not present in that config manager, then we will create the record for that user with lateral key. Then that key will be passed to the next route. Then for sanitization, we are some of the parameter we are removing, debug, all the parameter which we are passing from front end, those all are removed before we send the request to the lateral. Then injection of that API key into the upstream header. We are using the gateway API URL. Lateral for each of the environment will be having the different URLs. You are using that. Then streaming based on the whatever parameter you have chosen. The billing will happen using the user management API. Specifically in the app user billing table, you can see all the billing for each of the record. I will show you the table and how it will be there. Then for React search authentication, the same process, extraction of the user query. Then we will do the light LLM key extraction. Same process will happen here. The difference is Based on the query, hybrid semantic search will happen, direct answer. Sometimes we will get the direct answers from the semantic search. That time we will skip the LLM call. Sometimes we will get more context in document format. That time we are not able to send directly to the front end, because from there there is not it is unable to understand too much content for user. So that time we'll be sending these documents as a context to the next in the context building we will send. If it requires stability search, it will perform. Then we will do the sanity, remove all the parameter which user has sent, knowledge base ID and K parameters, debug, all these parameters will be removed before we forward the request to the gateway. What is gateway? Gateway is a light LLM where we are going to send the request with all the removing all the unnecessary parameter, because we are already appending knowledge base ID. Why we send? Because to identify the prompt. But here we already fetched the prompt, then there is no need for passing this knowledge base ID, because external third party tools will be not knowing what is the prompt of this knowledge base, because this is our internal to our organization. That's why we'll be removing this before we sending any request to the gateway. Then we will get the final response in client end. Then coming to the last layer, last endpoint, that is smart proxy flow. That is k is equal to 2. This request will be same. The only difference is k is equal to 2 at the end. Then same authentication, fetching of the light LLM key of their specific user based on their auth token, and resolving the prompt, actual prompt from the prompt title, and intent, detection of intent. If user is asking any questions related to image, title, and in general, then it will be detected here before sending request further. Then if image generation is required, then RAG search will be skipped. Directly the image generation will be invoked. If it is in general, then it will go step by step. Here we will do pre-RAG search for that specific knowledge base. If we are not passing any knowledge base ID, then by default, the knowledge base which will be taken care is my workspace. In Security, I already explained, for each of the chart histories are getting stored in the my workspace. Whenever you are sending requests to this or this, by default, my workspace knowledge base will be searched, and from that knowledge base, the context will be fetched. Then if your request requires any citations, web search, then the Tably search tool, we have RAG search or hybrid semantic search. If image, then generate image tool. Then agent will be run, the citations will be attached, appended at the end of the final response after we get the response from light LLM, and we will sending this response back to client. Is there any doubts here? Any doubt, guys?
No, Sahana.
You can also refer the repo, that is Secure API Proxy. This is the repo. I have attached in the slide also. I will share after this meet. Here we will get all the information. We also have the API documentation. Here each and every endpoint will be explained thoroughly. So you can just go through this. So you'll get more clarity. And before you integrate any of these API, I would recommend everyone to test these API endpoint individually in the Postman, whichever tool you are familiar with for testing. Just test each of the endpoints, but these are the main endpoints which we use on regular basis. So if you want to use any other, also we have multiple. For WebSocket, we directly cannot test in the Postman. We need to integrate into the application, then only we will be able to test them. So that's why I did not demo here. But you can use, this is for web search, TTS models, for how it will be integrated. Everything is mentioned here. And for this, we are using Gemini TTS models. So you can refer this documentation here. Each and every endpoint details are mentioned. So yeah. Any doubts? If you have any doubts, I'll be moving my slide back. If you have any doubts, then you can ask me. Okay, I will also show the database already mentioned, which database specific for billing. In last session, I already mentioned, but the billing one I did not show you. So I will show you now. So each of the environment will be having its own database. The user management prod is a D1 SQL database for this is the core API for related to all the user roles and permissions. And we also have app user building and all the applications. So I will show you how you will pass the app code because each of your requests need app code, right? So for that, you just need to create a record. Like if you want to work on any of your intern project also, if you want to use your if you want to use the AI capabilities of the API proxy, then just you need to register your application in this application table. Like currently for secure chat, we have mentioned and app code is there. I have showed you in Postman during testing. I'm using this one, but other applications are using other app codes. Accordingly, we will know which applications are using how much AI tokens. So this is the app user building table. Okay, so here some users, some XAPI keys which are being used that are mapped to the system, but some of the users who are not currently present in our organization, for them also it is by fallback, it is taking as a system because their Firebase ID is not get created in our user management prod. But for other people's, it is mapping. This is for 6 application human. The based on your authentication auth cookie, your company will be automatically attached here. If people from E team employees, if your email contains E team in, then you are using this, then automatically company will come as a E team. Then AI generation cost. There are multiple. You can just have a look over this, then you will get some idea. See, this is for eating people. This is render reference. This is all I have already explained in the secure chart, the rendering, what is happening here. But this is for different applications. All the applications are currently centrally in centralized database in app user building only. We are storing all the building from API proxy. This is all billing happening from API proxy. This is not from any other applications. Whatever request is coming to API proxy based on app, whatever app code you are passing, accordingly we are checking which app code you are belong to. After that, your billing will be added to this table, and at the end will be calculating the total cost for each of the employees and organization. Any doubts? You can ask. If you have any doubts, if you understood, just say understood, so we can wind up. Asni, understood, or you have any doubts?
Yeah, Sahana, actually it's so much, so little.
What you did not understood?
The architecture was fine. The things are going good, but it takes time, right? So
Yeah, that's why I'm telling you won't directly understand. Means you need to get hands-on with these API endpoints. Don't directly integrate any of these endpoints into your application. Directly test in any of the API testing tools, or you can use curl commands to test your API endpoints. So you will get clarity how it is happening. Just change different parameters and check what is the response coming. Okay. It is very simple. You just need to nothing to remember here. It is very simple. The whatever I explained is revision of the secure chart architecture. Whatever I have explained in that I already explained in detail how each and every step is going, right. So here I explained what are the API endpoints which we have. So just get hands-on with these all the endpoints and test it thoroughly in the Postman or whichever tool you use. I used here API testing, that is the talent API tester. This is the extension from Google extension. So you can just install this extension in a Chrome and try testing the API endpoints. Without installing any Postman, you can directly test in Chrome. Renuka, understood?
Yeah, overall, I have understood. I have to go through PPT.
Okay, I will share after this. I will share the entire, no need to send any request. I will share here itself. Give me some time. Copy. Can see. I'll be sending the link here. Just check whether you are able to open this PPT or not. So check whether you guys are able to open this link or not. Anshuman, have you understood?
We need to request the access for the PPT. No,
Okay, then you can send me the request. I will approve. Okay. Else I will copy this and paste it in the document itself. Let's see if you are able to see this. Okay, I have attached the link in that sheet also. And if you are unable to access, then send me the view request. Okay. Rishika, understood?
yeah, till now, but I'll go through the PPT once again.
Ishan Chand, your camera is off. Are you there? You're not audible. You are on mute.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Any doubts?
No, everything was quite clear. And going through the PPT will clear everything up.
Okay. Okay, guys, kindly fill that feedback form, which is you guys already know. Okay. Okay. Catching the stand up. Already stand up is going on. We are already late. Okay. Bye bye.